start. There may be a little bit of an echo from the background because the kids are watching a movie with my dad. So today what I wanted to talk about was what homesteading does for us. And the title is When Things Go Awry on the Homestead. Oh my goodness. And then I have feedback. There we go. So what I wanted to talk about was, lately I have been listening to a lot of Tony Robbins. If you guys have heard of him, he's a motivational speaker, and he helps people to identify problems in their lives and their basic human needs and the way that they're dealing with their lives. And he talked about how when certain needs are met by one thing, that one thing can very easily become an addiction. And I started to think about my homesteading, and it made me realize that my homesteading meets so many of my needs that it really is like an addiction. I can be away from it, but when I'm actually living outdoors, doing my gardening, doing my animal husbandry, all of these things, that life starts to feel like all the pieces are fitting together. And so I kind of wanted to go over why that is. A friend of mine asked me, I think 2 weeks ago, he said, what is it that you get out of what it is that you do? Do you wish that, you know, how much money would you have to make in order to feel like you had really accomplished something with what you're doing? And my answer was, it's not really the money thing. Really, what my homesteading is about is that, you know, they say that the best way to make a small fortune if you're farming is to start with a big fortune, because it can be very expensive. But you see these old farmers that still are out in the field every day, and they're milking their cows, or they're out on the tractor, and it's hard work, and yet they have to put a lot of money into it. But the reason is because living that way is what creates bliss for them, and it creates happiness. And that's really how I feel about homesteading. So I see that we have a few people in, and let's talk about this. My understanding is that I think there's supposed to be 4 needs in life. You have your need for security, you have your need for love, you have your need for certainty, and you have a need for uncertainty. In other words, adventure. And I've been listening to a lot of Tony Robbins lately. So okay, so we have a whole bunch of people in here right now. Hello, everybody. So when things go awry on the homestead, in reality, in my opinion, one of the best things about homesteading is the variety you experience with homesteading. No day is ever the same as any other day. Sometimes you have huge successes and sometimes you have huge failures, but it's never boring. And that occurred to me. Like, they say that so many things can go wrong with farming, but in reality, if things go well all the time, like if you had everything you wanted in life all at one time, you get bored with it really easily. And so to me, between the animals and the gardening and the weather and all that kind of thing, you always have this sense of adventure. And when you have good times, you also have this sense of abundance. So I don't know. I've had so much fun the last couple days. I've actually calmed down just a little bit last night, or not last night, yesterday. I had a friend over for lunch, and then I spent the rest of the day laying on a bed, staring out the window with all the windows open, and just kind of looking out at the sky as this beautiful, cool breeze wafted through the tiny house, and it was really just very serene. And I was calmer than I had been in a long time. You know, sometimes we get caught up in our own lives, and just to sit there and experience cool, clean air and listen to my kids playing, it was really kind of blissful. Let's see, Alma Wells asked, Tony Robbins, does that mean you walked on fire? No, I have been watching them on YouTube. I have been listening to some of his videos about overcoming anxiety. With the transition we're making from having been traveling to doing what we are now, and doing so much traveling still, even though we're in our tiny house now, I'm still traveling a lot, and it's been really hard to keep up on everything. And I have a lot of anxiety from that. And so I was listening to Tony Robbins kind of as like a pep talk for myself. So let's see, Lori Family Homestead is here, Deep South Homestead is here, Alma Wells, Our Safe Haven, and Gills Tetralt. Ooh, is that a French name? From Ontario, I would imagine, probably. So Deep South Homestead said, "Oh no, don't tell me I can't have what I want, LOL." And that's really, in listening to this lately, it's been really interesting to kind of look at my own life and say, this adventure that our family is on right now, this adventure that is not always easy, not always having a shower is not easy. Using an outhouse is not always easy. Having to drive into town to do live shows is not always easy. And yet, are there parts of it that feel like an adventure, and can I tweak the parts that are a little harder and recognize that if we weren't doing this kind of thing, maybe I would be bored and maybe it wouldn't be as much fun as really what we've been doing. Okay, Danny Bowles said, how do you find all those interesting people and places to visit? So a lot of them were people that initially I had researched on YouTube, like Danny and Wanda from Deep South Homestead. They were people that I did a shout out in the beginning, and then we became really good friends. We're same with the part of the same like Facebook groups who were talking about making YouTube channels and also about homesteading. And so most of the people that we went and visited are people that we met on YouTube that we have similar interests. So that's how we met most of the people that you see in our videos. Let's see. Wandering Farm Girl, thank you. Okay, so for instance, what has happened lately is that we're helping the renters. I finally got the watering system set up yesterday. John turned the water on. It's working, but I'm remembering how much work it is. I have a system that is above ground. It's not water off the well, it's water off the canal, so the water's dirty. So I had to be able to clean things out, so I can't bury the pipe. And I was feeling a little sorry for myself yesterday when I was getting it all sorted out. I'm like, this is going to take forever. I'm going to have to be outside in this beautiful sunshine all day and walking around in the grass and petting my goats. And I had to kind of sit there and look at myself and say, is there anything you'd rather be doing? Isn't it nice to be able to go out and walk through the grass and have your feet in the cool water and listen to the birds? What better place is there? Yeah, it's going to take you all day to water most likely, but what would you rather be doing? Why are you feeling sorry for yourself? And that was interesting because I'm like, well, is there anything else that's on my list that I could be doing right now? I was like, no, there really isn't. And so when my kids came in and they wanted to read stories, we just read stories. And when it was time to make meals, we just made meals. And I remembered, you know, this is really why I wanted to homestead. And it's also why I wanted to have my YouTube channel in the beginning, was to be able to finance the farm so that I could continue to live that way and have it be easier. Ivan predominantly said, we don't see your husband or kids anymore. Why? The reason is that I had a lot of people that were less than kind or less than supportive about a lot of things. And so I am trying to keep some things a little more sacred to my heart and not leave it out there for criticism. And so I've tried to have my videos be more topic driven, more at other people's homes, talking about wonderful things they're doing. And I'm trying to transition on my channel from any kind of family vlog style instead to more how-to videos, just because I get really angry when people are mean about my children or mean about my husband. And so I'm trying to be a little more professional and a little bit less open, if that makes sense. Let's see. So things that are coming up on the channel is the Willow Creek Homestead is coming up, and we're going to build a chicken coop, which I'm really excited about. We already have like 3 chicken coops on the property, but they are on the renter's side of the property rather than on our side of the property. And I kind of want to show you guys how to build a chicken coop. I think it would be really fun. Let's see. So that's what's coming up. I am looking to create a breakfast nook in the tiny cabin so that we can also put food storage into the seat part of it. I'm really excited about that. And we have a lot of projects. It felt really hectic there for a couple weeks because we were going to Montana, we were going to northern Idaho to do some collaborations, and we've been a couple hours away filming with Josh from Essential Mountain Homesteading a lot. And it was a lot of traveling and a lot of leaving the girls with John, and John having to take the girls to my mom's when he was at work too. Oh, Off Grid with Doug and Stacey here. What's up, Homestead homies? So if you guys didn't see, he had a little bit of a heartbreaking story a couple days ago where he left his computer at the airport. I'm really glad he got it back, because there's nothing more like heart-wrenching, gut, just kick you in the gut than to leave all of your data that you were going to make videos out of somewhere and not know if you'll be able to get it back. It kills you. Do I need moderators? I missed something. Let's see. Yeah, so Willow Creek is coming up, and then we did finish the stairs, and that was with Swamp Creek Cabin. And I will be really excited to get that video up. I have probably 15, maybe 20 videos that I'm behind. Once again, when we do these big collaborations, I have a tendency to get like 3 videos from each place. With Paul Wheaton's place, I think I got closer to 10. And so I'm trying to get all those out, but I'm trying really hard to be mindful of my time, because sometimes I'll sit there and I'll try to edit, and I'll edit all day long, and I get really burned out really fast. And that's really what I have to do if I want to put up daily videos, but I'm trying to cut back to maybe 3 times a week and make it not, I think I've been getting an ulcer from doing that. So I'm trying really hard to cut back. Frederick asked, good evening, Julie. Who doesn't like the sound of pitter-patter of their little feet? Well, I don't know if you've noticed, but in some of the videos when kids are being kids, some of my wider audience that isn't really a huge fan, they can just be very critical and very mean, and I just, life is too short. Thank you. Is it Wanda or Danny who's on tonight? Deep South. Well, but either way, thank you. So let's see, what else can we talk about? We have goats due on the 2nd of June. Both of the goats are due at the same time. One of them, she's a first time. She was from a set of twins, and then Chai, she had triplets last time, and one of her does went to Esther and Nick's over at Fouchamatic off grid. And so we have 2 goats due, and then I have one of Chamomille's does that I want to purchase back. I'm not sure we'll have enough milk, so we're probably bringing a couple more milk goats in, but I'm trying to be around the house a little bit more. And usually with homesteaders, it feels like, you know, you get the animal first and then you build the shelter. I'm trying really hard not to do that this time. I want things to look really nice and professional. If we ever did turn the tiny cabin into an Airbnb, I would want people to be able to have the farm experience and have a little chicken coop next to the tiny house where they could go collect eggs and have one of the goats, you know, staked out in front of the yard so that they could, you know, go out and pet the goat or milk her if they wanted to. And let's see. And so that's really, I would love for people to be able to experience the tiny cabin and also the off-grid living and also the farm. Right now, Josh from Essential Mountain Homesteading is having a hard time with permitting up on his location. And I'm concerned that if I were to turn my little place into an Airbnb when we're not there, that we would start to have a problem with permits. But the problem is, this is what drives me crazy, is you can go camping in a tent short term, and that's fine. But if you're on your own property and you've set up something that's off-grid that's perfectly safe and cute and lovely, and you have an outhouse and you have an outdoor shower or something like that, that's just unreasonable. And it doesn't matter how cute it is and how professionally it's done, there's going to be questions and problems there. And I'm trying emotionally to kind of work around that, because it kind of drives me a little crazy. Mimo said, do you drink chamomile tea or hops tea to help distress? What do I drink for distress? Usually it's goat's milk, but we don't have milk right now. So let's see. Impatience one said, what is going on? I thought you were going to live in the tiny house or not the large house. Has that all changed? Nope, that hasn't changed. We are still renting out the big house, and we're going to live in the tiny house while we're here. But then John is going back to Oklahoma for school, and we would like to be able to rent out the little cabin for the months that we won't be there. Our renters will still be there, and they're happy to take care of things like changing linens and that kind of thing in exchange for a break in their rent, that kind of situation. So we have all of those logistics worked out. But as far as I've stayed in Airbnbs that were off-grid, and I loved them. I thought they were so much fun. A lot of them had outhouses, some of them had composting toilets, and it was all very nice and just a fun experience for us and a fun experience for the kids. But yeah, the permitting, even though everything we're doing is completely sanitary, they're just driving me crazy. Okay, somebody asked when we're going to be traveling again. So John will be going back to Oklahoma in July. Let's see, where did it go? It went, let me see if I can scroll it up. Okay, our little safe haven said, Julie, when do you plan on traveling again? We're still open to a visit if you'd like to visit Kansas City. At the moment, we have a 5-day-old. Oh, how exciting. You can see on Facebook for that. I will have to go check that out. That is so exciting. Congratulations. When will we be traveling again? John will be traveling in July because he starts school in August. We will probably stay here a few more months because I want things to be really settled, and I want to be finished with the cabin before we go. And everything is kind of up in the air in that direction. I really want there to be, I want us to have solar panels so we can run the computer. I want to have our wood stove in by then. I want all my systems to be up, and I'm really excited to show you guys, but I am nervous about the permitting process. Willow Creek Homestead said, I want goats so very much. Yes, we have some wonderful goats. They're really worth having. I think they complete a homestead because when you have extra milk, you can feed it to your chickens, you can feed it to your pigs, you can make soap, you can make cheese. All sorts said, people do Airbnb in my condo. Hope to do this one day. Lucrative. Yes, I think the Airbnbs are super fun. Every time I had a chance, I would stay at an Airbnb over a hotel every time. I feel safer, and things have been cleaner, and it's just fun to know that there's a family next door, and for me, safety has been a big deal. Oh, Swamp Creek made it. Swamp Creek Cabin is here. That's Dee Dee. So Swamp Creek is who came and built our stairs with us, and we do have videos of that. They're refurbishing their little cabin in the woods, and we're going to go visit them probably in July, I think, because we're going up to see my sister, and we'll do some in-person collaborations with them at their place, and we already have quite a bit of video from them being here at our place. Let's see. Flying DS Farm said, Willow Creek Homestead, I'm loving the Maynard videos. Did I miss the Maynard videos? Okay, skip down. So if I didn't answer anybody's questions, make sure to say it again because I just skipped down to the more recent ones. Mimo said, Kiko goats are awesome for homesteading. I've seen Kiko goats. Our goats are heavy milk producers. Most of our meat comes from rabbits and ducks and chickens and pigs, and our milk comes from our goats. So Awry Family Homestead, they are doing some tiny house bopping about in Florida, and they have some great video out from some of their travels, and you should go check it out. Awry Family Homestead, that's L-O-U-R-I-E Family Homestead. And they also did some really neat garden boxes that I totally want to try because you can disconnect them, you can set them up in different shapes, and you guys should go check that out because I love almost nothing better than a good garden box. Oh, how fun. Off Grid with Doug and Stacy said, we will be at the Mother Earth News Fair for the whole weekend. Is that this weekend or a different weekend? Everybody who wants to go meet Doug and Stacy and you're in the area, you should totally go. Teal House Farm said, Willow Creek Homestead, are the geese good with kids? I know from our experience, geese the ganders can be quite aggressive. The geese generally are not aggressive, but the gander can be quite aggressive. You may have missed this. What will John be studying and will you homestead in Oklahoma? That was from Impatience 1. John will be studying cybersecurity and app development, and we will be homesteading in Oklahoma. We have a friend who is setting up a little place for us on 1 acre, and it will be exciting to see how that turns out, trying to homestead in a warmer climate. Let's see, Flying DS Farms, have you hit any brick walls with your homesteading? Yes, I have. A lot of it has had to do with noise. When we first started our homestead, I needed to get animals that weren't noisy because we were in town. And so I had to get goats who were really quiet. I tried to get ducks for eggs, but the ducks were quite noisy in the mornings. And so chickens were a better fit for us. And a lot of times the quietest goats are not necessarily the best milkers. Since then, like for instance, we worked out how to not have to use a lawnmower anymore, and it was with ducks and geese. But the geese were so noisy at night that like the whole neighborhood couldn't sleep, because the geese, you use them to protect the ducks. They will fight off and chase away a fox or a dog or something like that. But they're so loud. And so I would recommend, if you're going to do geese as guards and also as grazers, which they're so good at that. I didn't have to use a weed whacker or lawnmower all year last year. It worked so well, and I had a freezer full of geese by the end of the year. But I would say put them in a very dark pen at night so that they can't see cars as they drive by, and just make sure to have everybody in their coop at night rather than having them out roaming and grazing, because they're really noisy. And that's what you want it for. You want it to protect your homestead, but they will also keep you from sleeping. What are the brick walls? I hit a brick wall when Cloud died. She died because a neighbor's dog came over and chased her, and she died. And finding her no longer living it just kind of took the feet out from under me. And I'm not sure I've really recovered from that. It's hard when you get really connected to your animals to have one die in a way that you know they suffered and that you weren't there to help them. It just kills you when they suffer. And so that's one thing that since then I've had a hard time making a lot of connection with my animals, and I've kind of cut back on animals because I feel like I want to make sure I'm taking such good care of them that unpredictable things like that are minimized. That is for sure a brick wall. Okay, so what did the Simple Life say? Hello, Simple Life. Did you have a question? Okay, so I'm not used to this, the bars thing. Did you not have a question, the Simple Life? If you had a question, let me know. Let's see, did I miss anything else? Our little safe haven said public pages are a little safe. Okay, I'm missing things. Essential Mountain Homesteading made it. Okay, Essential Mountain Homesteading. Josh is the one that I have been doing so many projects with lately. They're in their little cabin now, getting ready to dig a well, dig a septic. So make sure to stay tuned to their channel, because they are starting from the beginning, and he is in construction. So he knows how to do things right the first time, rather than having to go back and make expensive fixes. So make sure to go and check that out. Little Mountain Ranch is here. Now, if you like gardening and you like a mom that can do it all, you should go see Little Mountain Ranch. She has a great channel. Let's see. So you're at the cabin. Did you get your internet set up? Let's see, Malika Ringel said, best of luck in all your projects. It must take loads of energy making everything from scratch, including knitting, canning. Wish I was 50 years younger. Well, I would have to say that it doesn't take any more energy. It just takes sitting. When you're sitting, you're knitting. When you're standing, you're canning. When you're outside walking, you're noticing what's going on with your animals. It's not that it's harder. It's that you have your systems in place so that when you're tired, you can do one thing. And when you're not tired, you can do another thing. And just organizing your life in that way so that you can take care of everything as you have energy. Okay, so Wolf says hello. So thank you, Wolf. Let's see. Oh, Teal House Farm said, I still have to make expensive fixes. So Teal House Farm, I love their channel. I find them I think their sense of humor is my favorite part of their channel. They're pretty neat. They're just starting out in their cute little house and with their fun channel and their cute kids, and they make everything look like fun, even if it's just chopping wood. So super fun. Let's see. So did you guys already got it set up? Essential Mountain Homesteading. I guess they just got their Wi-Fi amplifier, their signal amplifier up on their cabin. That is super cool. So if you're able to join, that's awesome. Flying VS Farm said, does anyone follow blogs anymore? Is it mostly YouTube now? I think that the older generation, like maybe my generation and older, I really like blogs, and I think it's important to have a website. Even if you don't have a blog, it is much more searchable to find something as a website or a blog than it is a YouTube channel. It's just a lot easier to weed through things and find what you really want, in my opinion. And then if you have products, you can't really sell products from a YouTube channel. If you have farm products, it's much easier to sell them from a website. Okay. Tillhouse Farm, you are welcome, but it's true. I shout out channels that I love to watch. So yes, everyone should go see Tillhouse Farm. Just, they're really fun and always humorous, I think. Hidden Hollow Homestead is taking off. Thanks, Hidden Hollow. Okay, Impatience One said, what do you guys do about veterinary care? It is so expensive in Massachusetts. We do a lot of research on our animals so that we know that they're healthy. If I have an unhealthy animal, I do not keep them. I sell them to somebody with full disclosure of what's wrong with them, or I butcher them. If there's something really wrong with them, I just put them down, and that's what we do. I don't think it's kind to keep animals around that are not healthy and that are not mostly immune to pests that are around. For instance, if I buy a goat and it turns out she gets mastitis once, that's her only chance. If she ever gets mastitis again, I sell her to somebody as a nurse goat so that they can put a calf on her or something, because there are animals out there that are healthy that don't get that health problem, and so they get one chance. Because my animals don't get sick. My animals never get sick. They may have accidents, but they don't get sick. And the reason for that is that I'm very careful about what animals I bring on my farm. I have had to take 2 goats to the vet in my whole life. One of them was that I wondered if maybe she had eaten something funny. She was acting a little bit lethargic, and I was just worried about her. I took her in, and the vet looked at her and he said, actually, she's just fine. She's doing okay. But it was shortly after Cloud died, and so I was a little bit frantic. And the other time was that I had a buck that tore open a big gash in Chamomille's udder, a huge gash, a big flap of skin. And I didn't know how to suture something that big. I didn't know how to fix it. So I took her into the vet, and I think it cost us, I don't know, how much did it cost me? I think it was $170. And I mean, she was fixed. That was the antibiotics. That was everything. And it was totally worth it. We do herbal dewormers. I can buy a bottle of chemical dewormers if I feel like there's a really big problem. A lot of times I'll have friends come out and help me if I feel like I don't know what I'm doing and I need to know. And I'll go buy what I need myself, and then I'll self-administer. Impatience One said, but vaccinations for rabies. You don't give goats rabies shots. That would be for like dogs. And you don't give rabies shots to chickens or ducks or anything, and rabbits are in cages, so you don't give them rabies shots. I honestly don't use vaccinations on my animals. I keep a pretty closed herd, and so I make sure my animals aren't sick when they come in, and then I close my herd and nobody else comes in. And that's pretty much how I handle it. And again, we haven't had any illness. See Essential Mountain Homesteading. Let's see. Yes, exactly. Flying VS Farms is my willingness to pay vet bills depends on the animal and the severity of the injury. It's very true. You do have to kind of look at the situation and say, was I going to eat this animal anyway, rather than going and spending $200 at the vet are they breeding stock, or were they just going to be food anyway? And I know to a lot of people that sounds really heartless, but there is a time also when an animal is suffering. Why would you take them to a vet if they're suffering? And they're probably not going to make it anyway. I know a lot of people think that sounds really heartless, but anybody who's taken care of animals for a significant amount of time knows that sometimes when you're trying to save one, you're just causing suffering. Hey, wee tree. Okay, do I know how and where are they? Hold on a second. I'll see if I can find them. There we go. Okay, I think I did it. Thanks, wee tree. Susan's here. Hey, Susan. All right. So let's see, what else do we have going on? We are working on, before we left our big house, our fridge didn't really work. And so we were using cool outside air as partial refrigeration. And we were butchering in a certain way so that we could cook as soon as an animal was gone, or that we would hang them for a while. And I'm trying to figure out what we're going to do with refrigeration. We have water on the property at our pump. We have a porta potty right now that we're using that gets cleaned by somebody else, so that we don't have to worry about getting in trouble for anything on the property. But as far as refrigeration, we may, one big project that I would really love to do is a solar dehydrator. And that would be the next big project that I really want to work on. I've seen some really neat ones that work so well. See, impatience one. Let's see, nearly organic noshing. Hi, Julie, catching the chat between frames of bowling. Oh, fun. I'm glad you made it. And so my next big tool that I really want to build is a solar dehydrator. And that way I could dehydrate vegetables, I could dehydrate meat, and then I could store it easier. I would also like to get a solar oven, because we do have propane for cooking in the summer, even just on our wood stove. But I don't want to have to get the oven all cranked up to cook in it when I could do something like a solar oven. So those are some fun projects I'm looking at. Ian Kean, hi from Ireland. Wow, you're a ways off. So those are all fun projects I'm working on, and by cutting back on the number of videos that I'm putting up, I'm trying really hard to have the videos be more informative and less emotion going into them on my part, so that instead I'm just showing how to, instead of trying to necessarily be entertaining or anything like that. Sandra Glover Clark said, I was kind of hoping your girls might like my extra Disney tickets. We would love Disney tickets, but we're in Idaho now. We are so far from any Disney anything. It's we're so far away. Little Mountain Rat said, I would love to see a solar dehydrator. We dehydrated a ton, but only have a 9-jar Excalibur, and it's just not big enough. So we, Laurie Family Homestead said, we love our All-American Sun Oven. Cheryl Hollins, hi. I have an electric dehydrator that's the Excalibur too. Or, well, no, my mom has an Excalibur, and I have, mine starts with an N. Norco, or I don't remember what it's called, but it's the white round one. I love those to pieces. But when we went to Kashi in Florida, they have one of those tower ones that has the slope and the screen in the front, and it has like 20 sheets in there. And so they were dehydrating outside in the winter in Florida, and they have really good results with it. And so I would be really excited to try that this year. Now that I have a few more not a lot, but a few more carpentry skills under my belt, I would be really excited to do that. Mimo said, could you have a system where your well water for plumbing gets pumped through a radiator and cooler box to keep your foods cool in summer? I'm sure it could be. Our water system is such that it's hand pumped instead of just being run by the well pump. We have a well pump in it, but we use the hand pump. Let's see, Ian Kean, will you be building a polytunnel? I don't like polytunnels. I have a regular greenhouse and then I have a geodesic greenhouse. I don't like polytunnels because they don't allow ventilation in very well in the summer. TL's Farm said solar dehydrator would be awesome. I totally agree. I went and looked at the parts list though, and I'm like, $150. I don't want to spend that right now. So I am trying to work my way around that, considering the reason I'm concerned about that cost is that I'm really not that great of a carpenter yet as far as precision cuts, and I don't want to screw up the lumber. I'd rather have it turn out right the first time. Okay, Nearly Organic Noshing said, have you seen the solar dehydrator on American Homestead channel? I haven't. I've seen several different models, and the one that I liked the best was the one that had the high tower with the sloping glazed window on the front part. It kind of looks like a huge beehive, but with this sloping shelf in the front. Because it doesn't burn things, the cold air comes in the bottom, it heats up as it goes across the glazing, and then it rises through the tunnel, through the tower. And that way you don't have burning, and you can put in a whole bunch of trays. But I will go see an American Homestead. I will go watch. Our little safe haven said, well, gotta make dinner for 3 boys. Yum, sounds good. Go make dinner. Good job. Okay, Valerie Critchley said, I went to your Amazon site and checked out the food dehydrator, but it didn't really explain how the device works. So that one is more for herbs, or if you're in a very dry, hot climate. That one is an open air dehydrator, and you put your herbs in, and on a really hot day, like if you're in Utah or Idaho or Arizona, it'll dry things really well. It'll even do fruit leather, but it doesn't necessarily get to the temperatures that'll do meat. So it's just open air. It doesn't have an actual heating system like where the glaze has, the air has to go through underneath the glazing and then goes up into the tower. So it's warm air, at least like 150 degrees, which is different from the open air dehydrator. I would have to actually build the one that I want to build, or that I've been talking about. No GMOs, please, with my order. I love your title. Little Mountain Ranch said, are you hoping to build one this summer? You know, the sooner I could build it, the better. I have been procrastinating a little bit because we don't have a shower in the tiny cabin yet. And going to bed when you're not necessarily dirty, but you're kind of sticky, makes it hard to sleep at night. And so I keep thinking I should have Willow Creek come up and help me build an outdoor shower instead of a chicken coop. Because then we would have the privacy, and I could just use the agricultural sprayer that I have and fill it with water, and we could use that. Right now it's just a matter of privacy. We don't have anywhere private to do these outdoor showers without, you know, embarrassing the neighbors and ourselves. So maybe that's what I should do, is just say, hey, Willow Creek, can we change our plans and build an outdoor shower? Because I think when it comes to homesteading, there is a point where personal comfort makes a difference in whether or not you want to keep homesteading. And the shower is definitely one of those things. If you remember Esther from Fauchomatic, she talked about how when they didn't have a shower, she just shaved her head, because there does get to a point when you have all this hair, having to pump and walk enough water to wash your hair and pump and walk enough water to spray your body off. It makes it discouraging, and it makes you feel like you don't sleep well at night, and it makes it embarrassing to kind of go out in public. And that's where we are right now. So I have all these other projects I need to build, like solar dehydrators, but I keep procrastinating about the outdoor shower, and so I just don't do anything. I feel like I don't know if I would say I'm procrastinating about my projects instead of just getting them done. Willow Creek, so you guys want to do that? Let's do an outdoor shower then. No more chicken coop, just outdoor shower. It should have plenty of lumber. Let's see, Deep South Homestead said, we love our Excalibur for dehydrating, making persimmon pineapple leathers now. And I've had Deep South fruit leather. I had their blueberry fruit leather while we were there, and it was so good. Okay, there we go. So everybody tune in when we do the outdoor shower with Willow Creek Homestead. No chickens. Who needs eggs? We just need showers. Let's see, Little Mountain Ranch said, let's see, clean versus dehydrating. Clean it is, exactly. Because, I mean, I don't know if anybody else notices this, but you go out on an adventure and Nothing throws a rock into your plans as much as just physical discomfort. And I'm not saying it has to be like the Taj Mahal or the Ritz, but just basic necessities like, did you get enough to eat? Did you get enough to drink? Was there a clean bed? It doesn't have to be like the most comfortable bed, but is it a clean bed with clean sheets to sleep in? And it makes a huge difference in whether or not when you get up in the morning, you're ready to face the day and have another project. And I make fun of John so much about the whole showering thing because I can handle not showering constantly. I can handle showering like once a week. I can handle that. But I have noticed that on the days that I can at least like boil a pot of water and have a washcloth and wash my neck, wash my face, it makes such a difference in morale. It's huge. And when my kids get into stupid things like canal water, and I know the canal water is dirty, I want them showered before they go to bed. I want them to be clean. Let's see, Ian Kean, what animals do you plan to keep? We have all animals of the rainbow, all of them, goats, pigs, quail, rabbits, ducks, chickens. We had guinea fowl for a while. We plan to have all of them again, but I am trying to take it a little bit slower this time because I'm out of town a lot. Alma Well said, have you considered the Coleman solar camping shower? I have seen some that were kind of like an on-demand water system, but you had to hook them up to a hose. Our problem is we're not hooked up to a hose. We're actually carrying water to the tiny house. Willow Creek said, you can buy chicken eggs. You can't buy a shower from home. It is so true. And basically all I need is just some privacy. I just don't want to embarrass my neighbors. You know what I mean? Deep South Homestead said, hot and sticky can ruin a day. It does. And it ruins a day, but then it really ruins a night because, you know, you want to cuddle in bed and your kids come in to cuddle and you see that they're filthy and you don't want them on your bed and you see yourself and you're filthy and you don't want you in your bed. I don't think it necessarily has to be like a half-hour shower. I think just, for me, just a washcloth will do it. But sometimes when you're tired at night, it would be so much easier just to have something that sprays you off and boom, you're good to go. Danny Bill said, why not a Rocket Mouse hot tub as well? I think I have seen, I think Pure Living for Life made one of those, didn't they? The problem there again is that we're hauling our water. A bath would take an enormous amount of water, whereas what we're planning on doing is using one of those agricultural sprayers and putting a new nozzle on it so that it sprays a little more heavily. So we can just rinse off a little bit. It doesn't need to be luxury. It just needs to be a little bit of water. Let's see. Alma Well said, with the Coleman Solar Camping Shower, you can shower outdoors in your swimsuit. But is it the one that's the bag that you hang up, or is it the one where you have to put a hose into it? Yeah, Deep South Homestead said, that is why we're on grid with AC, LOL. And it makes a huge difference. What part of the country are you in? Like, I probably couldn't go without showering even a day if I lived in a place as hot and humid as Mississippi, like Deep South does. Here, you know, we're in the 70s and it's almost, is it June now? We're in the 70s. And so what I feel like at the end of the day is more grit from like weed whacking and stuff like that. And so at the end of the day, generally it's just dirt. I'm just filthy. Let's see, Sandra Glover Clark said, I bathe in $20 Walmart rubber raft as my bathtub in the summer. We have super privacy. That's an interesting idea. I kind of like that one. That was Sandra Glover Clark. Let's see. Okay, the Coleman Solar Camping Shower holds only 5 gallons of water. I'll have to look into that, Alma. I'll definitely go look into it. Okay, Solitude 4 said solar heated rainwater shower. We don't get enough rain. I know it sounds like I'm just kind of throwing out everybody's idea, but I'm not. We're in a cold, high altitude desert is what we are. And so when we do get rain, it's just a little bit of rain and it evaporates very quickly. And it doesn't, I mean, it really doesn't happen very often. Frederick Nolan said that is what the river was for. Still, they were once a week if it wasn't before Roundview. We have our canal right next to our tiny house, but people throw agricultural pesticide waste in there and dead animals and all sorts of really, really gross stuff into our canal water. So we have to actually shower after we've been in our canal water, even though it comes directly off the river because of what people upstream dump into it. Flying BS Farm said, haha, I'm a reenactor and it doesn't bother me, and that is after wearing up to 15 layers of clothing. See, I don't mind it while I'm wearing it. If I'm still working all day, I don't mind getting sweaty and gritty, but it's just when I want to go to bed and I want to be able to cuddle my kids that it kind of comes out. Swan Creek Cabin said, I'm such an all or nothing person. When I have so many projects to get done, I have to remember to make just a little progress on something every day. I think that's the gospel's truth. Lately, my big project has been just to do school with the girls. And I'm trying to get, we're partially between the tiny house and partially between the RV, and I'm trying really hard to keep the RV really, really ready just to take back to my in-laws so they can have it back. Let's see. Valerie Critchley said, where do you haul your water from? We haul it from about 50 yards away. It's our actual well, and the renters have the well pump, but we pump it directly from the well with the hand pump. Right? Deep South Home said, north versus south with weather, new video collab, Julie. Did everybody see that? We did the gardening or homesteading with Deep South, and we called it north versus south. And I think it was really informative. Speaking of which, it's almost time to plant those seeds that you guys sent to me. And I need to do that. It's time. We shouldn't have any more frost. We might have more frost, but hopefully I'll catch it if it does. Ian Keane said, why on earth would people dump in a canal? Because it's convenient, because their grandpa used to dump into the canal and it's convenient. But there's a lot of yucky stuff in there. I'm missing, okay, there's something I'm missing. I don't know what's going on. Simple Life said, rains almost every day in Central Florida. And there was a lot of rain while we were in Florida, and we thought it was really, really neat. And for us it was really weird because we didn't see canals anywhere, and then we got to Florida and there's canals there, but it occurred to me it wasn't like trying to put water on the fields. The ditches there are to pull water off the fields, which is so weird. They're actually drainage ditches, not irrigation ditches. Here they're irrigation ditches, and we take water from our ditches that come out, the water comes out of the mountains and the reservoirs, and we use the water in the ditches to water our fields. It was just kind of weird. Tealhouse Farm said, I want to pump and haul water, but my wife isn't too crazy about the idea. Well, I think it's an interesting thing to do, just to kind of give you perspective. And at the same time, I think it's a lot easier if you're not the mom and you're hauling water. Like my mom never hauled water. I hauled the water when I was 13. And I would drive to the neighbors. I would fill up the containers, and then I would drive it back to the house and haul it for my mom. But between doing laundry and other things, you realize very quickly just how much water you go through in a family in our world. We had a gas-powered, old-fashioned washer, the one that has the ringer on it, and so it used gasoline to run the washer, and we used that for a lot of years, and it was pretty neat. What am I missing? Okay, so Frederick Nolan's taken off. Thanks, Frederick. Solitude Homestead, or Solitude Forest said, swales gather rainwater, then fill a cistern with a solar sump pump. That's pretty neat. We do have swales, and I fill my swales from my canal water. Again, we get snow in the winter, but not very much. Our water comes from the mountains and goes in to fill reservoirs. Even where we are, we don't get a whole lot of snow in our actual physical location. It's all brought to us from canal systems. Spaghetti Monster said, just watch your video tour of a young guy's earthship house with a tiny wood-burning stove and a cellar he has dug. Yes, that would have been at Paul Wheaton's, and that was pretty neat. It'll be interesting to see if somebody wants to buy that, because I guess he's wanting to move on to other projects. Oh, Spaghetti Monster said, while you were following him through the patch of the house was scary. LOL, you should put some light music in the background. He seemed kind of creepy. All the boys, I shouldn't call them boys because they're all in their 20s. But I think of them as boys. All the boys out there at Paul Wheaton's are a little bit shy, I think. And there's not a lot of girls up there. There's not a lot of women up there. And so they can go a long time in between outside interaction. And I think, especially with the camera in tow, I think they're just kind of have a hard time warming up to me. Kai was a little different. He's he's very friendly and outspoken, but the others have a tendency to be a little shy. Let's see. Rick and Alicia Stelling said, watch Boss of the Swamp Off-Grid Shower. It is simple and affordable. I like Boss of the Swamp. I will. In fact, I think I saw that video and then I got distracted on other things and forgot to go back and actually watch it. So thank you for bringing that up. Let's see. Spaghetti Monster said, I thought he was scared the cops would see him on the video. No, but actually he almost shot our drone out of the sky because he thought it was like a government drone or something. John needs to get a lot better at asking permission before he flies the drone. He asked one person if it was okay, but there were 2 other people there on the land who didn't know we were there. And so they thought that they were being spied on. So any other questions? I'm going to give you guys a few seconds because I know that the topic or the conversation can be a little bit slow. So let's see. So sorry, Love Mind. Who's Love Mind? Let's see. So if you guys have any questions, make sure to come up with them now because we have about 12 minutes left. And usually it feels like at like the last 2 or 3 minutes, I shout out, hey guys, if you have any questions. And then you have a bunch of questions, but it took 5 minutes for it to come up and then it's time for us to be off. So Spaghetti Monster said, I just found your channel. Well, welcome. We're glad you're here. Any plans for cattle? I grew up with cows and we had a miniature cow when we first moved out to our property. And the reason that I don't have cows is because my husband used to work away from home instead of being home. And the larger animals required bigger equipment. You had to have trailers. They were more expensive if I did need to take them to the vet. And it was really hard at times to get them to be able, like, to take her to the bowl and pick her back up. And so, and she was a miniature cow. I can get a lot more milk out of my goats than a miniature cow. And at the same time, they're very easy for me to doctor. They're very easy for me to handle, to load, to unload, to help with birthing. And so because I'm a female homesteader, that my husband's not interested in homesteading, and at the time he was working, I go for smaller animals. And I don't think it's been a bad decision. We have a mobile butcher unit that comes if I decide that I don't want to butcher an animal. But if I decide I do want to butcher the animal, all my animals are small enough that I could butcher them myself. Rebecca's leaving. Flying VS Farms. Good night. Thank you for popping in. Spaghetti Monster said, how long ago did you start this channel? I haven't binge watched it yet. We started, I believe, in 2013 was when we really started to make videos. Mimo said, can't you fill a 300-gallon tote at your hand pump, then use the gravity pressure from the full total to push the water to your solar shower? You know, we probably could. I think that's a great idea. Yes, post questions in caps, please. Laurie Family Homestead said, what will be your next project inside the cabin? We just finished a set of stairs with Essential Mountain Homestead. That will be here sometime this weekend. The big project I'd like to get finished is to put in insulation and to get the inside finished as far as like the decorative finish of the rough lumber on the inside walls. And as soon as I have that done, I think I'll feel like I'm not staring at studs all the time. You know, it just looks unfinished. So as soon as that project is finished, I'll be excited to get on other projects. Hey, Simple Life, why don't you ask me a question or something? I feel like you're being very kind and I really appreciate it. But I feel bad because you didn't ask me a question. Hey, Sub Driver, how are ya? Ian Keane said, I would recommend Carry Cattle, very docile and very good milk production. If I could, if I had a little bit more property and fencing was not a money issue, I would totally do cows again. But with a cow, you have to raise them for 18 months before you butcher them as like a minimum to get the most meat out of them. And I think with these more heritage cows, they can be very expensive to start with. We have Dexter cows in our area, and the starting rate for a Dexter cow is $2,000, and they're not very big. I can get a full-grown dairy cow that is past her prime for $1,800, and split her with somebody and have a lot more meat. So I have a hard time with some of the heritage animals can be very pricey. Okay, let's see. What cabin? LOL, I don't like yelling. What cabin? So we have a tiny little cabin on our property that we're finishing. Did Simple Life just leave? Oh, Simple Life is still here. That's why you said Simple Life. Yes, thank you, Simple Life. It was very kind. So let's see. Deep South Homestead said something, but I can't tell what you said because it keeps skipping right past. Subdriver said, what will you do with yourself when you all move and he's in school all the time? Same thing. I don't live very far from the land. I get bored really, 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 really easy, and I love to be outside. And so kindly, one of our lovely YouTube friends has a 1 acre piece of land that we're going to have a tiny house on, and I'll be able to bring my goats and chickens. And so mostly you'll have seen me build 4 homesteads by the time John is done with school. I built my urban homestead that was in the middle of town. We built the homestead we're in now, and now we're doing the tiny homestead around our tiny house on the same property, but it's separate. And then we'll be building a little homestead in Oklahoma. And so you'll have seen me do it 4 times, and you'll see me do it better every time is what I'm hoping. Let's see, if the budget allows, I would recommend the blown foam insulation, great R value and no air infiltration. So that's Lori Family Homestead. They are building a tiny house as we speak, and Brian has amazing skills. They have a great channel. If you want to actually know how to build a tiny house, go check them out. We would love to do that. And I'm trying to think if there's somebody here in the local area that actually does it. I would, you know, the monolithic domes actually started in our area. And so there has to be somebody in our area that has one of those machines and could blow it for us. Okay, I have to scroll down again. I don't know how to do that. Okay, I'm going to scroll down. So if I missed anybody's question, make sure to say it again in all caps. Willow Creek Homestead said, I love to be outside, but the sun hates my skin. I turn into a crab in 5 minutes. I wear long sleeve shirts and long pants and a hat and tinted moisturizer, and I keep my hair on the back of my neck. That's how I have to deal with it, because I also burn, especially where we're in such a high altitude area. I think it is really, really easy to sunburn easily. Ivan predominantly said, you know how I get my food? I go to Trader Joe's. I love Trader Joe's. Oh, I'm losing comments. Hold on a second. Hold on, let me go back up. Subdriver said, oh good, still countrified then. Yes, me without my country, I go a little bit nuts. I have lived without my homestead before when I was in college, but I was exercising 7 hours a day. And it was to stay busy and to get enough outside time that I felt like I could breathe the air and just be, I need to be outdoors. And so if I'm not homesteading, I am an exercise freak, and I'd rather just grow my own food, if that makes sense. Let's see, Spaghetti Monster said, are all 4 of those homestead series on this channel? So I do have my first homestead that was in the city, and I only took 1 video from there, but I did show it. My current series is, oh my, we have lost focus. Did we refocus? And then I built my first homestead, which is where my renters are living, and now we're in a little corner of that property, and we're building another one. So by the time we've built the Oklahoma one, it will have been 4 times. Little Mountain Ranch said, busy lady. Well, you know, and Little Mountain Ranch, of all the people that I see channels out there, she really reminds me of what I did when we started our last homestead, is that she's putting all her systems together. She's getting her kids involved in everything. You're getting your greenhouse in place, and you're starting to do the YouTubing to pay for the homestead. So if you want to kind of see what I did when I was first starting out, go watch Little Mountain Ranch. She's doing a really great job doing it. Mistress Phoenix said, you're moving. We will be leaving this fall for John to go back to school. He will be there most likely sooner than me, because I need to stay and get things kind of organized, and the transition will hopefully be a little bit better thought out And we'll also give time for John to kind of get the homestead ready for us so that the house, everything's functioning. He'll be helping our friend who's renting to us to get everything set up before we come. Mama Half Hippie said, have you ever had sheep? Yes. Last year was the first year that no, we had sheep last year too. Yes, we always have sheep. We bottle raise a baby, and then we have her be the mama sheep after that, and we keep getting bottle babies, but we adopt them onto our goats so that we don't have to bottle feed them. We have a whole process in how we do that. I hand shear her with actual clipping shears, and we love our sheep. But last year we had a bad thing happen where somebody bought some lambs from me and they were in good health, and they took them home, and then they didn't take good care of them, and then they called the place that I get bottle babies and reported, and no, they sold it. Okay, so I sold them the lambs already on the bottle. They kept the lambs for a few weeks, and then they sold those lambs to somebody else. That third person reported me to the person that I get my baby lambs from and said that I didn't do a good job with them, but they had traded hands twice in between the time that I had sold them. And so the place that I usually got the babies from wouldn't sell them to me anymore. And I ended up having to call her and explain what had happened. And I was really angry about it, to tell you the truth. I don't feel like I usually get angry about stuff like that, but I was really angry because my name was known in the community and I'd been selling lambs for years, and they never even called me. They just refused to sell me lambs anymore on this one person saying that. And so I called them and we worked through it, and I actually ended up being part of like a round table meeting where I just got really upset, and they actually ended up apologizing, and they felt really bad about the situation because they hadn't called me and let me say anything. So last year was the first year that we bought lambs from a different source, and we didn't sell any of them. We just kept them for ourselves. It was kind of traumatizing. Let's see. Keeping It Dutch said they probably didn't worm him. You know, I don't know what went on with it. Something went wrong with the lambs somewhere in there, because they ended up having to take them to the vet for like dehydration and stuff. And I don't know what the disconnect there was, because they left my place really healthy and fat and happy. And by the time they got to that third person, but why in the world would they sell the lambs? I mean, I thought they got them for a 4-H project. Why would you then sell them again instead of keeping them? That just didn't make any sense to me. So Keeping It Dutch said sheep are pretty easy. They are. They're very easy. They make your pasture a lot better. By having sheep, your pasture will improve. You get the wool on top of that. And I wouldn't say it's my kids' favorite food, because my kids love everything. All the meat that we grow is all their favorite. But they love duck, but they love lamb as much as they love duck. And they don't like store-bought lamb. They only like the lamb that we've raised because it's not real greasy. So everybody, Keeping It Dutch, his channel, he does raise sheep, and he does some amazing outdoor Dutch oven type cooking, and he has this really cool bunker. So you should make sure to go check out his channel. He has a lot going on over there. Keeping It Dutch says he has Hare sheep. And so does Danny Wonder from Deep South Homestead. And so we don't keep Hare sheep because I also sell wool products. We keep Suffolk and Suffolk mix sheep, and they get to be really nice big sheep. But I shear them because I then, like one of my hats that I make for people, I hand dye it, I hand spin it, I hand knit it, and I sell them for a lot of money. And so it's just one more source of income for my family, the fact that we have wool sheep instead of Hare sheep. But if you want something where you don't have to shear them, Hare sheep are great. So My Frugal Life is here. Okay, we are at 7 o'clock. Let's see. Willow Creek Homestead said, oh, I would love some hand spun yarn. I haven't got my spinning wheels out yet. I still owe Susan her shawl that she won in the drawing that I did while we were still in Florida. But if you would like to ever come up and do some collaborations with me, we could do some spinning when I actually get my spinning wheels out. I have zero fiber, because last year we butchered all of our sheep before we left. And I gave my fiber to a friend, and I gave her my spinning wheel at the same time. Let's see, so Deep South also keeps Dorpers. All right, so I think if that's all of your questions, in a cold climate, like you guys are in a pretty warm climate, Deep South Homestead and Keeping It Dutch, they're in a warm climate. I am in a very cold climate, and so having sheep is the best part of any kind of prepper mentality, is because you can make your own clothes from sheep's wool. Whereas in Mississippi, you probably won't be wearing wool, and in Oklahoma, you probably won't be wearing wool. And so, but here in Idaho, sheep are the ultimate prepper animal because you get wool too. Avon Leanne said, "Hey, Mrs. Dirt, how goes the tiny house?" Slow. It's slow. I wish it was going faster, but it's not. There's just Josh is busy trying to get his cabin done, and he's the one who is coming to help us get things situated. And so we just have two families trying to get together to do two really big projects, and it's just made it really slow. Hey, Helios, how are you? Have you just been watching this whole time and not talking? Shame on you. Ian Kean said, how many acres are you working with? We have 1.23 acres, so not a lot, but I manage it very, very intensively. We have food hedges and lots of fruit trees, lots of really deep mulch. We have the pastures, we have rabbits. I use every square inch as best I can, and I have big plans for it to be even more efficient over time. Malka Ringel said, how did you learn to spin? I learned how to spin on a potato and a chopstick in 4-H and never looked back. Avonleanne says, slow and steady wins every time. You look very happy. I do. I got some sleep yesterday and I just relaxed, and I haven't been putting up as many videos, and it's just been really nice. Keeping Dutch said it's 95 here today, lol. Yes, and it was 72 was a high of here today. Hike with Mike. Hello, everybody. Little Mountain Ranch said, I have to go feed the army. Great chat, Julie. Bye, everyone. So see you, Little Mountain Ranch. Again, if you want to go see somebody who is doing a great job on their homestead, go check out her channel. Mama Half Hippie said, how do you remain positive when things on the homestead go crazy? Make sure you're eating enough. I think that's a really, really, really big thing that moms and dads forget, is that if you're not eating enough, you don't have energy to fix anything. And if things get too hard, listen to your physical needs. Listen to your physical needs. And for me, I'll have a butcher day. If things are just getting too crazy, a lot of times butcher day will sneak up on me. I'll insist that the family comes and helps me. We do a lot of butchering, and we do that about every 3 months, and it's suddenly the intensity just kind of slows way down. We do things very seasonally. We buy our hay and our grain at a certain time of year and get it all and get it set up, and then we don't have to worry about it the rest of the year. Let's see. What did you say, Subdriver? Oh, there's the bee lady. Everybody should go check out Bee Lady Apiary. She has amazing knowledge about bees, and she just blows my mind. I watched her live chat the other, was it yesterday? It was amazing. Subdriver said, are you going to find your final move very different? Or you are. I'm sure I will. We were in Oklahoma for quite a while there, but we were there in the winter. And soil is going to be different. I have lots of rocks. I don't know what I would do with actual soil. And rain, that would be interesting. We get wind here also, and we have had tornadoes, but nothing like they get in Oklahoma, so that'll probably be a concern. Have I tried dairy sheep? I have not tried actual dairy sheep that is a breed of dairy sheep, but I have milked my sheep, and we have drunk the milk, and it was fantastic. It's a little bit sweeter than goat's milk, but it is a little harder to milk because their teats are only about that long. They don't have the nice handle like a goat does, and so it can be a little tough to milk them, but we love sheep milk. where did you guys say you're moving to? Okay, keeping adjusted. Where do you guys say you're moving to? We will be in Tulsa. We'll be in the outskirts of Tulsa. And we're really excited. We loved our time. We were in a little tiny house in Tulsa last time, and we loved it, but this will be out further into the country. Willow Creek said it was a hot 72, LOL. Yes, we had, well, I don't know. Did you guys have the overcast that we had? We had a pretty good overcast today. It never really heated up. Okay. All sorts said, do you get enough rest? Do I get enough rest? When I'm just homesteading, I get plenty of rest. When I'm traveling too, it gets a little more stressful. And if I'm trying to travel and make a lot of collaborations and do a lot of videos, I don't feel real well and I don't sleep real well. So hence why I've kind of slowed down a little bit. Willow Creek Homestead said, and then the hangry sits in. It does. I think the biggest thing for the homesteading is make sure to keep your own food. I know a lot of people that start growing their food and then they immediately start selling it. Why would you do that? You have all this amazing nutrition that you're selling for greenbacks. Don't sell your food. Sell from excess. Don't sell from basic. Personally, I don't sell my food. I can do trades, but I never sell it. And there's just too much time and energy going into it to let somebody else, not your own children, have better teeth and better bone structure and better hair and feed your own family before you try to sell it. All right. My Frugal Life said, I am trying to eat less. Don't want to get fat. LOL. On my homestead, I am at my best and most svelte and I think sexiest when I'm on my homestead and I'm eating a lot of fat and I'm moving a lot. I don't exercise when I'm on my homestead. Instead, I just have daily motion that cleanses my lymph. And I think I'm way sexier as a homesteader than I was when I was my size 2 over exerciser chick because there was vibrance there. And so I really feel like if you're homesteading, that you can't really judge yourself on weight. Instead, you judge yourself on how you feel. Subdriver said, way different growing methods and climate. That's what they tell me. Aardvark was telling me that they're already eating plums and our plum tree just barely flowered. All right. Laurie family, it looks like you have a message from Dutch. Let's see if I can come down without going too far. Well, Willow Creek said, I'm not sure. Are you talking to me, Willow Creek? You're awesome at collaborating with us little guys. We appreciate you. How much fun is it to just be by yourself in the world? Is that not the most miserable thing, to not have people to rub shoulders with and learn from? And so everybody that I collaborate with, I learn something from them. And for instance, I'm not real good at carpentry. And so it makes me feel like I have friends out there that kind of have my back, that somebody will come up and help me build an outdoor shower or a chicken coop. It's so very mutual. Let's see. Jacob Getty, you are really funny. Ian Keane said, do you keep a gun on the homestead? We have multiple firearms because of the nature of what we do, but they're for different purposes, I guess. I use some guns for butchering, some for defense, and some just for playing. We go to shooting ranges a lot and let the girls shoot their 22s, and that's really fun. Dang, that's awesome. My Frugal Life said, we already harvested and ate our cherries 2 weeks ago. That's incredible. We won't have actual fruit until at least the end of June, if not into July. The Bee Lady April said, I'm gathering you are going to Oklahoma. If so, think you will love it. I am excited to be in Oklahoma for the winter. We were in Florida for most of the winter, but then for the late end of the winter, we were in, so I guess March, we were in Oklahoma in Tulsa, and it was wonderful. Okay, I think we hit the bottom. Okay, I think I'm going to go take my kids home and put them to bed. And Make sure to go check out everybody I've talked about. I'll see if I can get the links up. I might not be able to. I think there's like 20 of you out there that I've been talking about. So I love you guys. If you have any questions, make sure to email me at dirtpatcheaven@gmail.com. And thanks for all the support. And if I could figure out how to turn it off. We'll talk to you later.